Greetings. My name is Clarence Anthony Jr., and I am the Workforce Development Manager for the Partnership for Inclusive Innovation, also known as PIN and/or the Partnership. I have the wonderful opportunity to share an initiative that we are launching this year in 2022 as a part of the Workforce Development pillar for the Partnership. And I'll be telling you about Workforce for Tomorrow, which is the flagship initiative and a program for workforce development. We are really excited to get this program and initiative going. But first, to tell you a little bit about our organization and just the history in terms of how we came to be. There was a task force that was commissioned by Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan to kind of understand how Georgia can position itself to become a tech capital of the East Coast. And as a part of that task force, some of the key findings that arose from it was seeing that there were a lot of innovative things that were happening throughout the metropolitan Atlanta area. However, in order for the state to truly position itself as a player nationally and regionally in terms of innovation and in terms of technology, opportunities have to be created throughout the state and not just be concentrated in the metropolitan Atlanta area. So ultimately, our goal is to create opportunity, to build ecosystems, to build communities that help to give and instill opportunity for Georgians to participate in innovative practices and drive innovation. Additionally, our goal is to really serve the underrepresented and also underserved when it comes to technology and innovation as well. And we would describe ourselves, and we do describe ourselves as a do tank. Not only do we engage in research and programming, but we also contribute financially to drive a lot of the initiatives that we have within the partnership. And we have four pillars that we utilize to drive innovation within the state. You have economic opportunity, student engagement, community research, and workforce development. Each of these pillars has a flagship program that is the main initiative that drives the aims of the pillar. I'm going to tell you a bit about, give you a broad overview of each of the other three, and then also dive a bit deeper into the workforce development pillar. But ultimately, our goal within the four pillars is to advance inclusivity, not only through identities, as you see up here on the screen, so race, gender, and SES, but also geographically as well too, with a focus on rural Georgia especially. The partnership is a public-private partnership, so we bring together corporate organizations and companies and bring them together with startups and or civic organizations, research organizations that ultimately builds opportunities and an ecosystem throughout the state. For economic opportunity, the goal is to create practices that serve small businesses and startups with a focus on minority-owned and women-owned small businesses and startups. through economic opportunity, Penn is able to not only give small businesses and startups access to financial capital, but also social capital through networking and mentorship to help them to build and scale their businesses. For community research, the goal is to fund and develop and help communities to develop what we call smart research that enables cities, counties, and local governments. It gives them the ability to leverage technology to solve civic and county issues that serve the public. Ultimately, the goal is to create smart communities, again, that leverage technology. For student engagement, we want to give and build opportunities for students within the university system of Georgia, as well as the private institutions in the state of Georgia and the HBCUs within the state of Georgia, to give students from these schools and colleges the opportunity to engage in research opportunities and research projects that serve communities and usually focus on the smart research that was discussed in community research. So ultimately, again, our goal is to establish initiatives, programs, change across the entire state of Georgia. And again, so we do think about and do focus on the underrepresented, the underserved, the individual, but then also the communities within the state of Georgia that would ultimately benefit from a lot of the initiatives that have been discussed. I'm also going to talk a little bit about Workforce for Tomorrow in the next couple of slides, but at the end of the day, Penn, our goal is to improve access and opportunity for all Georgians, create opportunities to drive innovation, to be innovative, that ultimately has an impact on the state and raises or positions the state to potentially become a tech hub and a tech capital of the East Coast. And specifically for the workforce development pillar, the goal for workforce development is to engage today's workforce and the emerging workforce and the ability to meet the needs of employers today and tomorrow. Workforce development for the individuals who would be impacted by the pillar would create systems of economic mobility, allowing people to have access to meaningful careers that will also, potentially be lucrative as well, which has an impact on individuals, families, and communities. Additionally, the goal for the workforce development pillar is to connect talent with employers across the state as well too, so that talent is not only just concentrated in one area, but spread across the state. Again, helping the state to position itself as a tech capital of the East Coast. And the flagship program for the workforce development pillar is Workforce for Tomorrow. And as I've stated before, so the workforce development pillar, the focus is on engaging not only the current workforce, but the workforce that is emerging. And specifically, Workforce for Tomorrow focuses on early career professionals who are building out their careers and launching their careers, still developing their skills, but are looking to utilize their skills as well. There are three keywords and ideas that we have that connect to Workforce for Tomorrow. And as you can see, so connect, grow, and transcend are some of the things that you should think about or should come to mind when it comes to workforce for tomorrow. So for the connection piece, workforce for tomorrow bridges the gap and builds connections between the public and the private sector by engaging early career professionals that ultimately will be able to work in one rotation per sector for 6 months. And at the end of it, the goal or the hope is that for each fellow, they not only will have an understanding of how each sector works, but also will be able to say, now I see how, or think about, or see how the public sector does connect and relate to the private sector. Additionally, the goal is to, again, engage early career professionals in launching their career, utilizing the skills that they have learned in school in the first or early parts of their careers, either through full-time employment, student employment, internships, co-ops, et cetera, or volunteering, and continuing to build on those skills and serve employers that may, ultimately also help employers to grow and scale their operations as well. And, as with any and every initiative that is associated with the partnership and PEN, the goal is to spread the wealth across the state. And specifically in this situation, we're talking about talent, but then also building an ecosystem of leaders throughout the state that will be capable in meeting the needs of employers throughout the state. So we have some key industries and verticals, as we're calling them, that are associated with workforce for tomorrow. Each one of these are seen as emerging industries and industries that are continuing to be increasingly important in today's labor market, as well as in what's happening in the state. So as you may know, there are a lot of companies that are continuously moving to the state of Georgia that are planting roots and creating jobs and opening up manufacturing facilities and headquarters, thus creating a lot of opportunity for employment for Georgians and future Georgians as well. Specifically for manufacturing and logistics, by focusing on this vertical, we are intentionally focusing on how businesses, organizations, the public sector can think about how organizations are effectively producing the products that they have within their companies and organizations, and thinking about how these resources and products can be effectively distributed across the state and nationally or internationally, depending on the scale of the business. For energy and sustainability, I think it goes without saying that in order for there to be a future for generations, companies, organizations have to understand how to effectively harness and utilize clean energy, but then also develop sustainable practices that not only have a social impact or an impact socially rather, but then also environmentally. And then lastly, as you know, in pretty much every industry, information in terms of how it is generated, but then also protected and utilized is becoming extremely important for not only private sector organizations and companies, but then also in the public sector as well too, when it comes to research, et cetera. So each one of these fields and industries are extremely important in terms of the development of tomorrow's workforce to make sure that Georgia positions itself as a tech capital of the East Coast. So we believe that there are some benefits for each of the stakeholders that we potentially would engage with for Workforce for Tomorrow. You have the fellows and recent graduates, as well as the site hosts and organizations who would be employing the fellows, and finally the state. But I'm going to focus on the fellows and specifically for recent graduates whom we are targeting for this fellowship. We would love to have you all involved. So this is a wonderful opportunity for you all to take the time to explore different career paths and see where you fit. By participating in the 6-month rotations, it gives you the opportunity to see the inner workings of organizations and or companies in various sectors. You also have the ability to network within those companies, and you would be also exposed to the network that is associated with the partnership as well too. And then not only do you have the opportunity to utilize the skills that you have already developed, it additionally gives you the opportunity to develop new skills that will be useful in your career. Ultimately, we believe that by participating in this fellowship as a fellow, as a participant, it allows for you to launch your career in a more effective way because you are knowledgeable about your strengths, about your interests, where you fit into an organization or a potential sector or industry. But then also you're more just generally more informed about what your next steps potentially might be as well. Again, so by creating opportunities for potential fellows and early career talent, we give you all the ability to build your skills, build your network, become more aware. And then for the organizations, they have the opportunity to connect with emerging talent, which, again, will have a positive impact on the state of Georgia. So here is an example of how 2 rotations could go. And we're going to specifically use the energy and sustainability vertical as an example. So again, you have 2 rotations for one fellow, or for each fellow, rather, one in the public sector and one in the private sector. In this example, the first rotation for a fellow in the private sector would be with Mind Catalyst, which is a small business that focuses on technology and sustainability in the metropolitan Atlanta area. Or you could be placed with Cox Enterprises and working on Cox Conserves projects. For rotation 2, for the public sector placement for sustainability or energy and sustainability, you as a fellow could be placed with the Georgia Tech Strategic Energy Institute, which focuses on sustainability related research projects and working with organizations and companies throughout the state of Georgia to think about how they can be more sustainable in their operations and service delivery, and serve the environment both socially as well. In the first 6 months of each rotation, the goal would be to have one monthly event that will focus on career exploration. So for example, there would be or could be a panel, as well as an industry speaker or a company information session, which exposes fellows to potential opportunities for employment and or learning more about various industries. The goal for the first, 6 months for the programming would be to serve as exploratory programming. Again, giving you the opportunity to understand what your options are. For programming in the second 6 months, the goal would be to focus on job search strategies. For example, that could be resume and cover letter development, networking opportunities, or how to effectively network, as well as interviewing as well. In addition to that, you would have a networking session and or a closing ceremony at the end of rotation 2, which will give you the opportunity to present on the things that you learned, but then also engage in a networking session where you could potentially meet with other fellows, other site hosts, and or other organizations and companies that are interested in recruiting the fellows that have matriculated through the program. So for every 6 months, I should also state this, that for every 6 months, there would be a new class of fellows that would come in. So at the beginning of rotation 2, as you see here on the slide, from April 2023 to September 2023, that would be the first rotation, or the beginning of the first rotation for the second class of fellows, while the first class of fellows would begin in October 2022 and complete that first rotation through April 2023. So we believe that there are a lot of benefits to the fellowship. This is a full-time salaried opportunity that gives you all the ability to not worry about finances in terms of benefits packages, health, dental, etc. So it is a paid opportunity for 1 year, and it gives new professionals and early career professionals the ability to start their careers off, we would say, in a more effective way, because you are able to explore options within the public and the private sector, build social capital, build your skills, so that you are moving forward in an effective way as you build out your career. We believe that 6 months is a great, opportunity for you to experience the inner workings of a company or an organization through 2 quarters, which would, again, allow for you to meet people within the company, really get a deeper dive into the projects that will be worked on in that company or organization, again, so that you are utilizing your skills and building new skills as well. So ultimately, we believe that Workforce for Tomorrow has a strong value proposition, not only for the fellows, but then also for the state. So we're looking to recruit undergraduate and graduate level talent across various industries. And ultimately, the fellowship will have an impact on the state of Georgia, not only for the individual fellows that participate in the program, but then also the companies and organizations as well too. So, again, we're focusing on multiple industries. There will be multiple companies as well. And we have an explicit focus on technical skills and technical knowledge that is being developed by the fellows. So the partnership, we consider ourselves the team of teams. We are community builders. We are ecosystem builders. We are creators of opportunity. And without teams, without that community, we're not able to have an impact across the state. So we have several partners that are both in the private sector and in the public sector across the state that partner with us in thinking about our strategic initiatives and what our goals are in the short term and the long term, but then also in facilitating our programs as well. And we are very proud of that. So we would love for you all to join our team. And some key things that we're looking for in prospective fellows are those that are service-minded, those that are civic-minded. They're looking to contribute to the growth and innovative practices within the state of Georgia, while also building on their own career as well. We're looking for people who are looking to explore, various options post-graduation to gain a better understanding of where they fit within organizations, within job functions, within industries as well. Additionally, we're looking for, as I have mentioned, early career professionals who have either graduated with a bachelor's degree or a graduate degree, either master's or PhD is fine, with less than 5 years of work experience. In addition to that, we're really targeting, again, through with the mind or through the lens of inclusivity. We're looking to target and have prospective fellows come from backgrounds that are people of color, women in STEM or STEAM, first-generation college graduates, and or military veterans and spouses. So if you are a part of any of those identities, you are more than welcome to apply to become a fellow for the Workforce for Tomorrow Fellowship. And, again, we're looking for people from those identities, as well as those who may not necessarily meet those identities as well, are welcome for the application process for the fellowship. And again, in addition to that, all majors are welcome as well too. So we're looking for specific skills that could potentially meet the needs of the employers. And you can find more information on our website in terms of who the employers are and that are associated with the pillars that we have established, which would be advanced manufacturing and logistics, energy and sustainability, and information technology and cybersecurity. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. My name, again, is Clarence Anthony Jr., and you can contact me through email at clarence.anthony@innovate.jatech.edu. In addition to that, on the website, you have the opportunity to create a Calendly meeting with me, and please do feel free to reach out that way as well. I would be happy to speak with you. So here is a snapshot of all of the things that we're doing across the state. And again, so we have 4 pillars that are associated with the Partnership for Inclusive Innovation. Again, you have economic opportunity, and that flagship program for economic opportunity, or flagship program for economic opportunity, is Innovate for All. You have community research, and the flagship program and initiative for community research is Georgia Smart. Third, for the student engagement pillar, Smart Community Corps is the flagship program for student engagement. And the new pillar, my pillar, workforce development, the new flagship initiative and program for Workforce for Tomorrow, or for workforce development, is Workforce for Tomorrow. So we would love to have you partner with us to enter the state of innovation and serve as a potential fellow for the Workforce for Tomorrow program. And we thank you for your time. Please do feel free to take the opportunity to take a look at the website, again, at all of the initiatives that we have going on, but especially if you have questions about the Workforce for Tomorrow Fellowship or the Workforce Development pillar, please do feel free to reach out to me directly. And thank you for your time, and have a good day.